Well, we're recording this on Friday. It follows the press conference of Thursday, when things will be getting back to normality on Monday. One person who's been very keen to be listening out for that will be anyone involved in hospitality. Nigel's joining me. He's got a very specialised guest house in Peel. Nigel, your take on what you heard?
Well, listening from yesterday, I mean, it is great news that obviously by the weekend and by Monday, the island can go back to some sort of normality. And then hopefully within a few weeks after that, family and friends can start to come and visit. And I would imagine there will be that small period of isolation that they're going to be isolating at their friends' houses. But my concern is a bit more long term than that. And 19 weeks away is September.
Oh no! Don't write off the whole summer already.
Well, it might seem a long way away, but in our position, my wife Nikki, that runs the bed and breakfast with myself, is really proactive. So our guests are phoning us now to obviously want to book for September. Christmas is going to be busy, but my concern is that when the borders open and guests are allowed in, then guests stay with us, and some of them want to stay for 2 weeks because they've been a couple of years and they love the island. But 2-3 days into their holiday, and one of them starts to feel not very well, and then suddenly we get the temperature and we do the right things, and then we find out that unfortunately they've fallen with COVID. What do we do with our guests?
Wow, well, that's a long way down the line. I mean, I was thinking just to start with talking to you about just to get the guests in. I mean, this is still not on the cards, is it? I mean, should we start there?
It's not. No, it's not. But the concern that we have, we've got to look at terms and conditions. We've got to look at advising our guests with travel insurance, which they would obviously take anyway. But we're so conscious of our guests and we make them feel welcome and we look after them very well. It's the last thing I want them to do, because they might think they come to the Isle of Man. If they do feel poorly, don't worry, love, we'll pack our bags and we'll get on a plane or a boat and go home. But I don't think that's going to be allowed. Now, I do know that tourism have a number of self catering units that are specifically for self-isolation. So what we would like to know long before September is, if that is the case, will we have this facility to vacate our guests to a self-isolation premises, and obviously they're going to have to pick the tab up, or are we going to be told, and if we've got other guests in our bed and breakfast and we do only have 3 rooms, so we're quite small, will we have to isolate? Will the other guests have to isolate? And it's a big picture, but it's something that we really need to know about as an accommodation provider.
Indeed, and probably these sort of things haven't really been thought of yet, because, as I was trying to say, just to get the borders open to some degree is still actually not in the timetable as it stands. Can we go back on how you've dealt with the whole thing, missing out the seasons, first of all? I mean, how's it been for you guys?
Oh, it's been heartbreaking, to be honest. I mean, I don't know if you remember, but right at the very beginning of the first lockdown, and when the Department of Enterprise put out all the figures, I had to go on Manx Radio and speak to Lawrence Skelly, because bed and breakfast were strategically not important enough for the Isle of Man. And at our grading at 4-star gold, and there's about 20 of us, we actually generate just over £1 million to the economy of the Isle of Man, and 70% goes back in. So I did make a point of saying, I think we are very much important, and that was amended. But I mean, we do get a very small percentage to help us out at the moment. But what people have got to realise is, yes, it is our home, and that was one of the concerns that they had is, well, no, you just crack on because you live there. There's a lot more than that. We have monthly outgoings for the bed and breakfast. We have to maintain it. I'm in the middle of painting rooms. We have a grading that we have to keep to, and the standard of our bed and breakfast, whether there's anybody in here or not, has to be kept up to date. That's got to be paid for. So, we've lost a lot, put it that way.
How did you do on stay vacationers, or, to get people coming along?
They've been absolutely fantastic. I mean, we've got people booked in on Tuesday. So I'm busy painting because I need the paint to dry before they get here. And that's why, because people love coming to Peel. we're very well known on the Isle of Man, so it becomes a little vacation for them, but we can sit down and have breakfast and we have a chat about all the things that have been happening. And the island residents have been fantastic. We've had people that have come back. Well, the people that are coming Tuesday, this is their fourth time.
So that's fantastic.
That's helped. That has really, really helped us. But what we've got to look at the bigger picture, and we want to get them borders open, and let's get back to our original, how busy we were. But there's going to be hurdles, and them hurdles that I've mentioned just before are going to crop up, and I need some answers.
Well, let's talk about the first hurdles. Let's say the borders open, people though have to isolate when they arrive. So they booked in for you for 2 weeks, but they may have to spend the first week, isolating. Do you think that's doable?
I think it is, but I think, and as the Chief Minister said yesterday, we have to manage our own business. So he's putting it across that it's our decision. We've got to make that decision between Nikki and myself. Are we comfortable with that? I mean, I'm an undergoing cancer patient, so I'm, fairly high risk with immune systems. I know it was 3 years ago, but we've got to be careful with that. But I'm prepared to take the chance, and I do feel that if it is a week, they've got to isolate, and we are going by their figures. We all have to follow with their guidelines. Dr. Hewitt, she's the one that really needs to come into this equation about, do they stay with us? What do they stay with? It might be that it's, people stay with us. It's it's like you've got COVID, but treat it as we've got to live with it. Do we treat it as a common cold? I don't think we do to start off with, but I think let them, if they want to go for a week and then a week with us, I think we can cope with that. It's
been interesting, the tone though, isn't it? The Chief Minister, who was, the isolationist at the beginning, he now clearly keeps signposting that the borders do have to open, so that must be a relief to you. But of course, we're still into the great unknown about testing and, can people just come in and go out? It's so many uncertainties, aren't there?
It is, but I mean, if you look at the UK, I mean, literally last weekend, everybody's out. You guarantee that Weston-super-Mare and Brighton are going to be packed this summer because we live on an island like we do, and we don't have that total restriction. We still can go out, walk on the beaches. I do feel for people that live in cities and live in built-up areas that are itching to get away. So as soon as they now know that they can come to the Isle of Man, as much as they probably want to go to Spain and France, and I don't think that's going to happen, I think our tourist season, once we can get into a level where we can open the borders, is going to be very, very busy, because you've got your silver surfers, your elderly people that have got good pensions still, have 2 or 3 cruises, do the Marbella and the Porto Banús, but they're not going to do it. They're going to stay at home. And if we're going to offer that facility, we've got to make sure that when they get here, we've got dot the I's and cross the T's, and not be wishy-washy they've got to be tested when they come in. And then if the situation happens, which it's going to, that unfortunately somebody falls poorly, we've got the right answers for our customers, and either we can send them home or they feel comfortable when they're here under the conditions.
And as you said at the beginning, you're hoping for advice on this to know exactly how to deal with it. Just to finish with, have you had many people in your booking books that have literally rebooked and rebooked and rebooked, waiting to come?
Unbelievable. We have, because I do a lot of Instagram, and we've got 2 dogs, Nikki and myself. I've just been on a tourist Zoom meeting now, and it's really helped us putting the Instagram on. And we get people that live in lovely parts of the UK, but because they love coming to the Isle of Man. The phone hasn't stopped, and it doesn't stop, but we need to give them the information that they need so that they're covered correctly. We're covered by insurance, they're covered by insurance, if the unexpected happens when they get here.
Which comes back to the beginning about Mr. Skelly giving enough support to the industry. And do you feel that is there now?
There has been support to the industry. Personally, I think there could have been a lot more done. I feel that us as a provider, for what we give out and what we've been doing for 15 years, on the room rates that we've been given, I think it's been a little bit on the low side, but they make the decisions, and I'm guaranteed the people that were sat around the board table that pick the fixed price for the hotels are not hoteliers. They don't know what goes on behind the scenes. They don't know the outgoings, and it's a lot more than probably they think.
But light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes, we've got to think like that. We've got to be positive. And, we're 15 years we've been doing this here, and we welcome our guests with open arms. We always do. But as I say, and they want to come back, and we want them to come back. And we've got some lovely restaurants in Peel, and you've got the beach and all that. And I do my tours with Albany Tours, obviously. So we're going to incorporate that with the bed and breakfast. But we've got to make sure that we've got everything right. And when they get here, they feel secure. And if anything happens, then we've got the right answers for them. But at the moment, I haven't got any answers at all.